Hello my beautiful lovelies, hi, it's Emmy, welcome back. Today I'm going to be making brain-shaped eggs. Yes, I'm going to be using this mold, which I purchased last year but didn't use. This is made by Fred and it's used to make ice cubes in the shape of brains. So this is a silicone mold. It's very, very flexible. You can put it in the freezer and you can put it in the oven. So I am going to cook some eggs in this. And what I really would like is to be able to cut the brain in half and have the yolk ooze out. But I'm not sure how well this is going to do in terms of all this detail. I want all these convolutions to show up in my eggs, so I think cooking time is going to be a bit tricky to get that runny yolk and then to get all the details of the brain as well. But we shall see. If you need some Halloween inspiration, be sure to check out my Halloween playlist. It includes videos from last year, but this year's videos includes cooking a whole black chicken inside of a pumpkin. I've eaten bat nuts, which are amazing. They look like bats. And I've also cooked a kitty litter cake, complete with Tootsie Roll poops. So yeah, be sure to check those out. Right, back to the brains. We're going to take a little bit of olive oil and we're going to put it in to the mold. And we're going to swish that around and make sure you get it into all of the nooks and crannies. Take your finger and go ahead and rub it in, because this really will ensure that the egg releases. I'm going to cook one egg at a time because I find it's easier to release the egg that way. And I'm going to sop up the excess oil. Last year I made some cute brain cupcakes, and this year I'm going to be making a brain egg. So I thought I would need medium-sized eggs, but in fact I happen to have extra large eggs and these work out just fine. Crack my egg. And this will help get the egg into the mold. All right. Whoop. We'll have a little excess. That's fine. There's our little egg inside of our mold. Let's set that aside. Next, we're going to have a steam bath. Grace! So I've got my water boiling here. I'm going to use my steamer basket, place that right on top. And then we're going to take the egg brain mold, place that right on top of there. Put the lid on. Right, now we're going to let that steam for 14 minutes. All right, see you in a little bit. Okay, so 14 minutes have elapsed. So let's take our egg out. We're going to take the mold out and place it in some cool water. Trick with silicone molds is you're going to pull to release. See that? There's a little gap that develops. Pull and release in all directions. So I find this a lot easier to do when you're doing just one egg at a time instead of filling all 4 cavities. And now we'll just plop it into the water. There it is. How beautiful is that brain? All the convolutions. Egg brain. Now that we have our beautiful brain-shaped egg, let's make this into a meal. Got myself a bowl of rice, nice and hot. Next, I'm going to mix up my natto. So, if you don't know what natto is, I shall direct you to a very old video where I explain how to eat it. Natto is a beautiful food made of fermented soybeans, very, very common in Japan, particularly in the southern western portion of Japan. And it comes in a little styrofoam tray like this. You open it up. You take these 2 little packets out. Comes with a little bit of spicy mustard and this sauce. This is like a tsuyu. This is a seasoning sauce. The soybeans are hiding behind this little piece of plastic. And the first thing you have to do is kind of give them a little bit of a mix. Next, we're going to add our, and the seasoning sauce. Get every drop of that in there. Now we're going to give this a good mix. And the reason being is we want to incorporate those flavors, but we also want to develop the slime. Now this is an essential part of natto, this really gorgeous slimy texture. I think a lot of Westerners have a hard time dealing with this, but I adore it. It has a very strong kind of pungent smell. If you've ever had fish sauce or something like that that has a strong fermented, slightly stinky smell, natto is in that same family. So natto is often eaten for breakfast, atop of rice and a soft cooked egg. I'm going to pour this beautiful slimy stuff right on top. Natto can also have a slight bitterness to it too, again, which I quite enjoy. The trick with natto, because it's so slimy and stringy, you've got to twirl your chopsticks to kind of break those strings. And now we're going to place our little brain on top and dry his bottom off. Nestle the brain in there. This is going to be so delicious. Then we're going to add some green onions. This really makes it for me. To season my egg, I'm going to add a little bit of this, and this is just called suyu. It's a soup base essentially. You can get udon flavored, you can get soba flavor, but I always have some of this in my refrigerator. It's great for seasoning noodles, seasoning eggs, pour a little bit on baked salmon. Delicious. So here's a moment that I've been waiting for. I want to cut the brain open and see what the yolk looks like. I'm going to predict that it's fairly well cooked, if not completely hard boiled, because I need to cook it that long to get it to unmold properly. In an ideal situation, the yolk would be nice and runny, but let's see. Yeah, it feels cooked. Lobotomy. A little bit gelled in the middle. So I really want a runny yolk. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of a brain transplant and take the yolk from this undercooked egg. This was my 9-minute egg, and see if I can transplant it into here. Just because. Let's see if we can do a little bit of a yolk transplant. Scoop the 2 yolks out. Now I'm going to put this yolk in there. Now I'm going to close this back up. Place that back on my rice. Yeah, that's what I want. All right, let's see if we can get this yolk shot here. Alrighty, so with a little bit of finagling, this turned out exactly how I wanted it to be. But in reality, I would just go ahead and cook the egg for 14 minutes so you have a perfect looking brain. All right, let's go ahead and give this a taste. So what you do is you mix a little of everything together. Itadakimasu. So good. The natto has a very unique flavor, slightly bitter, but savory and full of umami, that MSG, sweet and salty flavor. Then you've got the egg yolk in there that adds an additional bit of richness, and then the white has a little bit of texture. And the green onions are essential to me, of course visually very pleasing, but in terms of flavor, delicious and bright and fresh. A lot of natto for me is also textural. You get these little wispy, cobwebby bits, which are slimy and wonderful. It kind of makes the rice sticky and of course slimy, and it leaves kind of a residue on your lips. And when you're washing your bowls and your dishes after you eat natto, it leaves a slimy film around everything. But it's just delightful. This slimy texture is really coveted in Japanese cuisine. You see it in other foods like yama-imo, which is a mountain potato that you grate and has a similar slimy texture. If you want to try natto, you can find it in the refrigerated section at a Japanese supermarket. It'll come in a 3-pack of these stacked together. Sometimes they are stored in the freezer, and in that case you have to allow it to thaw either on your countertop if you're going to have it for breakfast, or in the refrigerator the night before. And these flavor packets are essential for me. Don't get some kind of Western made natto that doesn't have these flavorings, because it just won't be the same. Just get the real deal. They're relatively inexpensive. I think $3, $4. You get a pack of 3. It's how it's supposed to be. These are fermented beans. Get the real deal, mix it all up, and try it. I think you might like it because I love it. So there you have it, brain-shaped egg served with natto and rice. Happy Halloween. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. I hope you guys learned something. Please share this video with your friends. Follow me on social media, and I shall see you in my next video. Oh, if you want this shirt, the link is down in the description as well. All right, toodaloo. Take care. Bye. More green onions.